Welcome to your test scenario, and as you approach the machine you will see that we've got a screen, a keyboard and the machine that you've got to assemble sitting here. You will see straight away that the power cord is plugged in, and the reason for that is we want you to earth yourselves, because that'll be a fail if you don't. You've just walked across some carpet, there's probably nylon in it, and without realising it you may have charged yourself up with several thousand volts of electricity. So the first thing I'm going to demonstrate to you is what a technician will do now is they earth themselves on the chassis, the steel chassis of the computer, and any discharge will take place now through the centre pin, which is the earth pin, and down through the wall socket and to the earth rod, which every building has installed by law. Once you've done that, then you can say, okay, I've discharged any static I might have had in the absence of a earth strap. And this is the machine as you'll find it, and I'll just give an overview here. Everything will be unplugged, you will not have any RAM in it, you won't have power supply or any of the cables connected to the motherboard. And so out here you'll see various cables and CPU. I'll leave a screwdriver just to help you put something in, and I'll show you how that works. And you'll see there's a whole bunch of RAM there. Now beware, not all this RAM will fit the RAM slots, and there is even faulty RAM there that you might install that fits, but there'll be an error code and you'll have to diagnose what that error code means. Alright, so that's just to get you really excited. So the first thing I'm going to do, I've earthed myself, I'm fine, and I'm going to start by installing this CPU. And if you look at it underneath, you'll see it has a little diamond, a diamond shape here, and that little diamond corner matches the diamond corner here, and so this is the way around it goes, and you should be able to just drop it in and it will slot in. Please don't push it or force it because you'll break it, and the next person might have fun getting the machine to go. On top of that should go the heatsink and the fan. With the heatsink and fan there's only one way around it can go, and you want to look for this great big lever here, and the big lever here points towards this WinFast sign, and first thing you have to do is lock down the CPU. That grabs all the pins and you can't pull it out, so that just locks the CPU into there. And you'll see the case, this big rectangular frame here, that must carry the CPU cooling fan heatsink. So ordinarily there would be thermal paste going between this heatsink and the CPU, but for the purposes of our work today it's fine to use no thermal paste. We'll just get the thing running and that'll be fine. We're not going to put it through any overclocking or anything that might create a lot of heat. The first thing you need to do is ensure that the left hand end here, I'm pointing the camera in the wrong direction, the left hand end there must be pushed out, so you push it through. This thing runs left to right. So if you push it through, and it has to hook over the center of this clip arrangement on the left hand side. So if I put this down here, so you line it up, so I'll just get my hand out of the way. So I've lined it up so that the whole thing sits in the frame. It's not sitting down properly this end, and the reason is, I don't know if you can see it in there, I've got to lift out. This is actually the hardest part of the whole assembly. You almost have to go in with this one first. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull it out again. I'm going to push this, and I'm going to just get the cable out of the way. I'm going to make sure that the very first thing is that catch, that little thing there, that clip goes over the plastic just under that screw there. So I'll do that again. I'll just hold it on an angle. See how I'm putting it on an angle? And just getting it to clip over the top first. I might have just pushed this down. This, as I say, is a very awkward affair compared to the model that we worked on in previous years. So you're a little bit disadvantaged there. But if you lift this up, push it sideways once the left hand edge is engaged, so that's now under, you can't pull it up, it's sitting underneath that clip. And then the right hand end, the same thing has to happen. You've got to go down over the clip. So the silver metal part, am I looking at the right place? Yes, the silver metal part has to go over this plastic there. So if you force it down, there it is, that's caught. So that is now holding it down, so you can't, oops, you see it breaking his camera. So you find that that is completely held down. You can't lift it up. Alright, coming out the back is the 3-pin plug for this little fan. And I'm remembering that he goes, where? There's 2 of them. Now there's 2 on the motherboard. And this guy goes the closest. He actually goes right back behind himself and down here. And because this 3-pin plug has that sort of end on it, which has got that 2 little, I call them little gates, little wings or whatever, they need to go over that plastic. Here's where I need smaller fingers. Need to go over this. So I'm trying to hold this camera one-handed and here we are, it's a better way of doing it. Okay, so now if you shoot this over here, that should pop down there and that will connect my fan. Alright, my fan for the cooling of the CPU. Next fan to connect is the fan that's behind here on the back of the computer, and this has quite a long, unusually so, it takes a track all the way across the motherboard to the front of it, closest to the front of the computer, and it slots in there. Just be aware that this guy here has black, red and blue, and this fan has black, red and white. That's how you can differentiate them if you get confuzzled. Now to collect in a few of the unusual wires that are just floating around, I'm going to take first the USBs, and if these are unplugged, there's a left and a right, and these correspond to 2 ports on the front of the machine, which I'll show you in a second. The one that says audio from the back goes on the right hand, looking from the back, the right hand side, and the one that says USB goes on the left hand side. Guess who had them around the wrong way? If you want to know where they hook up from, in the front of the machine it's got a fold down flap, and there's your 2 USB ports there. Following those, they go to the rear left of the machine. Sorry, no they don't, they go to the center of the machine, and you can choose either of these 2 blue USB pins there, or just put it on this one here closest to the edge, and he goes that way with the reds at the back. Very cool. So now we've got that done, and the other bit of cabling which is tied up with this is your hard drive LED, your power LED and your power switch. Now in this machine you can see the pins down there, I think. Yep, there's the pins there. And for this machine, the closest to the front right of the machine, there are 3 pins that never get used. And I'll now take the camera out from the top and look at it from there. So I'm just going to make sure that's on the right place. Is it focused? That'll do. So the 3 pins at the front do not get used at all. So I'll start with the back, the blue and white. The blue and white, which is the power switch, he goes with the blue on the right hand side. So the blue faces the front of the computer. Then you choose the green and white, and that's the power LED, and the green in this case goes to the back of the computer, not the front. So you can see that the 2 whites from each of these plugs are in the center. Now you need to remember blue at the front, and I call the front as the front of the computer, front of the motherboard, green at the back, and then the last color you need to remember opposite the green in the back corner here, and using only the 2 pins that are used on this side, the only 2 are used, is the orange, which is hard drive LED. So let me just get that in properly. Need to recondition my fingers and get them smaller. Okay, that's better. They don't have to be super straight or anything. In fact, there's a bit of tension on that cable, so they probably will wiggle slightly. But that is a perfect plug-in for those cables there. Next thing you've got to do is you're looking around for any other cables that are loose and floating. No. Good. Okay, speaker. This guy you will need. If you don't plug the speaker in, that's a fail. The reason you need your speaker is because you need to be able to test the beeps when you plug in. Now we're going to get our SATA hard drive cable, and we're going to plug him into the SATA data port, and the closest one, it should say SATA 1, which in this case is closest to the end of the drive. Notice too that there's a slot with a little key on it, and you can only put it one way around. That goes to the SATA drive, and I'll do that in a minute. Right. So next what I'm going to do is spin the machine round, and I'm going to look at the power cables. Right. You will find the power cables all hanging out the side, and the reason we do that is to confuse you. In fact, it's too easy if we leave it in, because they kind of direct themselves a little bit to where they've been. So we're coming through here, pull the whole conglomeration through, don't worry about ripping anything off, they're all tied together so you can't damage too much. And you'll see there are several types of cable there, and we'll just plug in first of all the power cable to the SATA drive, and that's this guy here, quite a long wide one with about 6 cables coming out the back. And what you need is the orange at the top and the little key at the bottom. There's a little key there. So the orange at the top, key at the bottom, but be careful as you do, because it's so easy to knock this guy out once he's in. So I'm just going to quickly show, plug. Okay, that's him plugged in, and above that we put the other end of our SATA plug, and this time I think the key's at the top. Let's have a little check. Hopefully it'll go straight in. It is. Okay, now be very careful, because this bottom SATA power plug, he can fall out so easily. I've had that happen, and I thought, what's wrong with my machine? It's not working. Okay, so that's the SATA drive in. Then we're going to go to, now they've taken away, the RAM you need is DDR400, and I'll let you sort out which one is which. You only need one in there, and I'm going to make sure that the long edge of these two, the long edge goes this way around, so closest to the power supply is the long edge, and you've got to make sure he slots into the 2 slots, push down until they go click, and then your RAM is home. Then you need 2 bits of power, one here for the main motherboard from the power supply, and that should clip in there. The second bit is a small yellow one, which goes down to the back. Often they go side by side, but this particular motherboard goes down the back here, just by your heatsink. And again, the clip can only go one way around. Very good. We are now plugged together, and I think we're about ready to rumble. RAM, power supply, yes, everything else. So we plug in our power, and then we plug in our USB keyboard, and we push the switch, and we have something. Whoops, no cable. Forget I didn't do that. And we should have a screen come out with yes, win fast. And in about another 4 or 5 seconds, there's no other beeps, so I'm getting no error beeps. And there I am, I'm getting start Windows normally, which if I start should come up with a WinXP screen, and I know that I have connected everything correctly. Yahoo! Wonderful news.